Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to The Crossover. Starring Josh Johnson and Chris McGill. Featuring Christina Thorson. And of course, you, the Instagram live chat. Now, sit back and enjoy this week's edition of The Crossover. Powered by Card Ladder.
What's up, man?
Not much. How was the game?
Oh, it was awesome. Nice performance by the Mavericks' second best player.
Which was who?
Well, Kenyon Martin said that's Luka, so very good. Shout out Putnam Cards in the chat. What's up, man? George wants to know, can we postpone this until the game is over?
I didn't know baseball could go this long. I'm at my limit. I ain't watching any more of that game.
Yeah. How's that game been unfolding?
D-backs were up 2 in the ninth, and the closer blew it. So now we're just like going into extras and just going on and on.
It can go on for a long time. Do you have the game on in the background? No. All right. You're ready. We undivided attention on the crossover.
Someone in the chat, I'm sure, will update us.
I'm sure they will. All right. Welcome, everybody, to the crossover. Today is Friday, October 27th, and mail days.
Yes. I have one.
I have none, so, but yours can more than cover it.
Do you even cards anymore? This is my first one in like a month, though. So
I could go through some more of my junk slide pile.
I think we're all right. Well, I think it doesn't our audience want that now? I thought they wanted the cheaper cards. We're supposed to do that.
Yep. I'm leaning into the junk.
This one won't make them happy then.
Oh.
So this is the 2008 Noble nameplates. And these are normally numbered to 25, but this one's numbered to 23. And I've seen a few of these. I've passed on them because the two others I've seen, the auto went off the edge. And this one he did a nice job with. And then the patch is part of the J from James on the back.
That's sick, man. What year is that card?
2008. So the nameplates is named because the patches all come from their name on the back of the jersey.
Very cool. They don't make them like they used to, man, when it comes to the patch autos and exquisite.
I kind of wanted to see if we got any questions about the Tim Duncan thing, because I find it interesting when people get excited about that versus if it were me, I would not be excited. It's kind of an interesting topic to me.
Let's just get into that as our first topic. We didn't have any questions, but it's a great topic. But first, do we have any card ladder related announcements? Christina or Josh?
Not at this time. Oh, but yes. Well, not card ladder app specific, but card ladder us specific will be in New York at New York trading on November 16th.
November 16th, trade night at Bleecker. Christina and I will be there hanging out. Josh will be with us in spirit. So, all right. Let's talk a little bit about, and set the stage for us, Tim Duncan and signing autographs for Panini.
Yeah, Duncan hasn't traditionally signed very much, and he doesn't have a lot of signatures really at all. I think his rookie year has some stuff, some like top sign stuff. He really just doesn't have that many autographs. So he signed with Panini, I think it was about a week ago, an exclusive, and he'll be signing autographs for post-playing days cards now. And, it's exciting for Duncan collectors maybe who are looking to get some new autographs that they don't have. And this has happened before with, like Reggie Miller in the past. Charles Barkley signed with Panini. He had some autographs. And I think it's exciting at first, but then it starts to like wear on people that the population of the autographs kind of grow pretty quickly, especially with Panini making so many. So as a collector, like if that happened with LeBron, I'd be pretty upset because I already have a decent, a holding of like some of his rare autograph cards, and he really doesn't have that many either. He hasn't signed on a licensed card since 2009. So if he were to do that for post-playing days with Panini, it would be frustrating, right? It would increase the population. It would decrease the value of mine potentially. So I always find it interesting the push and pull of that. I get the positives of people wanting to get some of their autographs and collect more of it, and I also get the negatives of the increase in population.
Yeah. There's also a sense for a player like Tim Duncan that it may reinvigorate collectors to seek out more of his cards just because all of a sudden he's got these cool autographs. Maybe he's going to have a flawless Logo Man autograph 1-of-1 card come out now. I don't know that, just maybe he will. And then let's say that card sells for a really strong amount, and now that gets people thinking, and it puts Tim Duncan cards back into the front of mind again.
Yeah, I could see that as well. But that's why I feel like it's the short-term excitement, because that'll fade off as people forget about it and move on. It's kind of like a boost for the MJ doc coming out, and then people just get over it.
Yeah, and then the first Logo Man autograph is great, and then the second one is great, and then the third one's awesome, and then the fourth one's really cool, and then all of a sudden there's like 50 of them from a few years worth of various products, and I'm just making these numbers up, and then all of a sudden it's not as special, and then the tone changes from excitement and this is awesome and this is new to this is watered down and there's a lot of it, and
right, especially that there's no more limit because it's all post-playing days, so like it's mayhem. Like when you at least put the rule of playing days on it, and like if LeBron retires, they can't print, they won't be printing LeBron cards on the Lakers anymore, right? Because he's retired. But if he signs an exclusive with Panini, then he can be in some of the autograph sets. So at least with the playing days, we can put that limit on it ourselves. We can put a limit on the supply. And Duncan and LeBron already have cards in the previous years that you can chase. So it would be frustrating for me.
Right on. All right. First question of the night, Mr. Archer says, will Josh be attending a World Series game, and has he started a Ketel Mate PC yet?
Man, I've enjoyed watching some of these games, but I don't know if I can dedicate a 5-hour, window of time in my day to like getting downtown and parking and getting into the stadium. I don't know about that. And no, I would never start a Marte PC.
All right. Trading Card Finds says, what do you think of the new MLB debut patch cards?
Marte was the Taco Fractor winner, by the way.
He was. Yeah, and Slabstox made a post about this that I saw that said that it had most recently sold for $1,000 and had prior sales of around $300, I guess.
Now it's worth 15 grand of tacos.
Right. Yeah. Which is an odd way to think about valuing cards. It's like, how many tacos can they give me? Let me show a picture of what these cards will look like, if I can find one.
Oh, you posted it to your story.
I did post it to my story, but I don't have the link available. Let me just see.
Yeah, I can find it. I can get that.
Okay. I do know that the cards will be in Topps Chrome, which is a little bit of a weird fit, I think, for a very important patch card, very important game used patch card.
I thought the one you posted looked cool to me, right?
I thought they looked pretty sharp as well.
Oh, here, this might have been the one that you did, or maybe it's not, but it looks
Yep, there we go.
Is that the one you found?
I think it is, yeah.
It kind of looks like Flawless or something. Did you say that already?
No, I didn't.
It has a little bit more of a little bit more unique color design to it than Flawless, in my opinion. It's got like the gold across the middle. It looks
Yeah,
neat.
they're good-looking cards. Very well-executed concept as well.
You know what it looks like to me? It looks like the cover of a video game.
True.
I think it looks like a WWE wrestling belt.
Yeah, the shape of the middle.
Yeah.
It's slick, man. I like it. I like the 101 stamp there, the rookie card logo. It's got the date here, which is cool.
Yeah, that is cool. This really is a pretty well executed idea from start to finish.
You know how last week you said it's never a good idea unless there's someone that hates it or something like you said, like all these new ideas. This one would seem to be pretty much like a slam dunk.
Yep.
It
is.
I don't think anyone hated it.
No, I think one of the areas of pushback that I've encountered is that shouldn't be in Topps Chrome. It should be in Dynasty or something like that. It should belong to a high-end patch auto set.
It's in. You said it is in Topps Chrome.
It is.
Oh, that's weird.
Yeah. So I think that's maybe the biggest criticism I've seen.
Because Topps Chrome already has standalone value. Like they should have boosted one, or is Dynasty like a popular one already? I'm not sure.
It is. Yeah. I don't know. I know nothing about building products, so please disregard all of my opinions here accordingly.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Well, hopefully there's not like actually 7 of them. That would be bad.
What are they doing with the rest of that jersey?
Can you imagine if there actually were more than 101 and it just like completely blows up in their faces that one of these isn't even a real patch?
Yeah.
It was so the news article when this was first released as an idea said that it was going to be a patch that was on the jersey and the patch itself would come off before the card, not the whole jersey. Still, the question stands: what happens to the rest of that jersey?
It's just like a jersey with a hole right where that patch was.
It's probably an iron-on, so there's just some glue there.
One of the, I think this is a little bit under-discussed, and one of the negative side effects of sports cards becoming so valuable, especially patch autos, and especially game-used patch autos, is that now the jerseys hit the open market and they go for a ton of money. And that's not only because of cards, obviously, but cards give you a floor value of what that jersey is worth because the jersey is raw materials for a final product of a sports card. And so to get game used stuff and to get it in a creative way, like putting a patch on a jersey is clever. It's well done.
It's only because of cards. You almost had it.
I'm trying to be fair to the I'm not. Let me just not.
You walked right up to the ledge and I pushed you off.
I'm just trying to be positive. Trying to be positive towards other collectible categories, if we can call them that. All right.
You can call them that.
Now we're going to go into a different topic, which is a more negative topic. I'm going to read 2 questions back to back. MJ23_KB24 cards says Fanatics and Panini's battle is going to cost us Victor Wembanyama rookie patch autographs. This is horrible for the hobby, which is a topic we've discussed prior, and I don't know how it's anything but bad for the hobby. And then Cage Lawyer says a fun topic is what are the cards to buy of Victor Wembanyama? Will Topps be making autograph cards of him? Will there be Topps Chrome autographs of him? what will replace the National Treasures or the flawless RPA? And will people want a Wemby RPA that is not fully licensed? This is a question that I cannot answer, but hopefully you and Josh can.
I mean, it's pretty much going to follow the same path as Ben Simmons. So you can go study the Ben Simmons market. He had like some out of 99 NT base cards without autographs. Those were popular for a while, but then the main chases are going to be the Prizms and the optics and stuff. Select like the black. The problem with the RPAs at the tops is they won't be the Spurs. They're going to be the Metros or whatever team he was on, or some like plain shirt or whatever stuff that like Simmons had one where Ben Simmons had like a exquisite one where he was wearing like a t-shirt and like a arm sleeve. Remember that one? That one was popular for a little bit, but that stuff just really fell off. Like it never lasted.
Yeah, that's the key here is that the hobby, there you go. So there's the exquisite rookie autograph of Ben Simmons. Beautiful, exquisite design. But the struggle here is going to be that the hobby, at all points, is just constantly zagging. And you and I zag, or at least I zag quite a bit. I just zag for the sake of zagging. And there will be plenty of people who are saying, why do we need to have fully licensed cards?
Oh my
because
God.
Isn't it enough that we have Topps making cards that Victor Wembanyama authorized? Walk us through here. What has astonished you?
I'm not trying to distract you. I'm just kind of showing like you're basically getting these National Treasures bronze out of 25 is like the most exciting thing you're gonna get. Versus, do you remember when Zion NTRPA started coming out and those were selling for $100,000 and like the excitement level was just insane. We're not gonna have any of that. Like there'll be some excitement because people were gonna try to generate the excitement. But I wouldn't fall for it, to be honest with you. Like some of these base cards will sell for a ton out the gate and then they'll just come way down.
Yeah, it's going to be, my prediction is that it's probably going to be a very confusing and unstable market. And there will be some people who develop an approach that says, I'm going to make an exception for Wembanyama because I love the autograph cards. And I think that it's noteworthy that he is an exclusive with Fanatics and Topps. I'm going to focus on those cards, even though they will not depict him in a Spurs uniform. And they're going to develop theories and approaches that allow them to find the positives in that card, in those cards, and to downplay the fact that it's not fully licensed. And then on the flip side, you're gonna have people who are like, I will prefer to stay with the fully licensed, and I'll pursue, like Josh said, the optic cards, Prizm, Donruss, stuff like that. And but those cards will never be autographed, at least not out of the pack. And you're gonna enter into a scenario where if you do start to sort of develop a philosophy around non-fully licensed card collecting, which is completely fine, but it's going to end up obligating you philosophically to take a new look at lots of other not fully licensed cards. It's even going to obligate you to take a look at Prizm's or Panini's like draft cards, and you'll have to ask yourself, well, if I'm not prioritizing fully licensed anymore, what differentiates a Zion collegiate flawless patch autograph from a Zion Pelicans flawless patch autograph? So it's worth thinking about not just the first order ramifications as it pertains to collecting Wembanyama, but also the second and the third order ramifications and how it is going to philosophically for for the purpose of being consistent logically. The other sort of collecting opinions that it ends up obligating you to have.
Yeah, I think it's just important for us to just make sure people are aware of the situation and make sure you're cautious with it, because traditionally what happens is it just comes out hot out the gate. Normally because it's first, it's the first one out, and then it does come down in value pretty quick. But you're right, with the Wembanyama one, it's just such a unique scenario. It's going to be very, very confusing, and I just personally would just stay away. It's just going to be too much to try to figure out. There's all these different variables that make cards valuable, and I think probably top of the list is the card licensed? Because if it's not licensed, then you're just game used jerseys. It's just a free for all. This stuff's just kind of moving around. We don't really know what's going on, so I'd be really cautious with it.
Yeah. Agreed. Okay. The Pack Profits says the incoming Wembanyama hype with this year's product releases is going to rival or surpass anything we've seen since the start of the quote-unquote boom. Oftentimes, close to a product release is the best chance to get your hands on a given player's top cards. Is the next big thing in this market too overhyped to collect right out of the gate? Or is there some merit to trying to get your hands on high-end pieces early?
It's not going to be as big as the Zion stuff, I'm telling you, just because of this issue we're talking about. It's just not going to be as big. I mean, the market's already down right now on top of everything else, but because he doesn't have the true RPA, it's not going to be as hyped as Zion. That's my first call or observation. And yeah, we've talked a lot about, if you actually want to be the top collector of someone, you have to be the one with the early conviction to jump in and buy their stuff. I would say though that you could have said that about Luka, but you could have waited a year or two and still had the same conviction and gotten a pretty decent chunk of his best stuff, minus the Nebula. There's a couple you would have missed on, but.
Yep.
Do you think there's a window after the first? Do you think there's going to be a window after this first year?
Probably. I think in a perfect world, you would hope that there's a normal amount of cards, a normalized amount of the best cards of the player that you want to collect coming out every year on average, and that you can anticipate the market cooling off and more players coming in and a player entering into their veteran status. But there's a risk involved with that. But I tell myself when I look at a player, and I'm thinking, and this comes from experience, from years and years now of collecting active players who, especially some who are just starting up. The far more desirable market to collect young players in is year 5, year 6, year 7, because not only has the hype worn off, and that market has really defaulted into more so being collector driven, but also that player's supply has been saturated, because by year 5, 6, or 7, they've got 5, 6, or 7 years of Prizm Blacks and 5, 6, or 7 years of Immaculate Logo Man cards and 5, 6, or 7 years of Prizm Golds. And they're not all the same. The rookie is obviously far more desirable, but the supply gets diluted. And so you have multiple market factors working in your favor. You have the less hype, and you also have a wider variety of supply that not only you can choose from, but that others can choose from as well. And that's going to provide a downward pressure on prices as well, assuming that demand stays constant or decreases. So I think about that. But then here's the other side of the coin. There hasn't been a Luka base optic gold to publicly sell in 4 years. So if you're sitting on the sidelines and hoping for a Luka optic gold to come to auction or to end up on eBay, you've been out of luck for a long time.
That's a low blow.
What?
Mercs in the audience.
Mark. Shout out Mark. Luka Optic Gold Collector. I'm talking about the rookie. So you take that risk, especially in the realm of cards numbered to 10 or 1 or whatever.
Yeah, this logic probably falls apart if the Wembanyama Prizm Black hits auction in the first couple of months of release, and it's gonna, at that point it's like, you might only have one shot at it. So, or like the Optic Gold vinyl or something like that, like a true card that you can be confident in, at least it being licensed, and it's like a one of one, and it's a good product, and it's going to be sought after for a long time from his rookie year. Something like that, you might not be able to wait.
Absolutely. And then, there's just factors that are out of your control. So, like, if you were somebody who targeted Devin Booker during his rookie year, you had so many things working in your favor. So you had the fact that the market was a tenth of the size that it is today. You had the fact that he was on not a very high-performing team. You had the fact that, he had a more limited rookie supply. There just wasn't as much hype. We didn't have nearly the amount of hype or market demand and stuff. So you had certain factors that are just out of your control that would have made it way more desirable to pick up Devin Booker's best cards at release as opposed to picking them up now. I'm quite confident that Devin Booker's best cards are all much, much more valuable today than they were at release around in the 2015-2016 timeframe. And then if you were collecting, Tyrese Halliburton at release,
right,
or maybe he's not the right example, but there are
players. Mid-round pick. Those guys are like 10 to 15th overall pick too. They're not number one.
Or like, how about LaMelo Ball even?
Yeah.
If you're collecting somebody like that, you were completely a victim of the fact that cash was very low in value relative to the hobby. And you were, yeah, exactly. See, there's Devin Booker's index. you would have done better buying those cards early, and you would have been paying 5 times more if you were buying them today. But then, like, if you have a player like LaMelo Ball, you were buying LaMelo's cards in a market where things were very expensive. Cash was not very powerful. It wasn't very valuable relative to the hobby. And almost certainly you've taken a bath on those cards. And if you were to try and pursue them today, you would be getting much, much better deals, in part because of interest rates being high, in part because the Fed is implementing an interest rate program that is specifically designed to make people desire cash. And when people desire cash, a necessary corollary of that is that they're not demanding or desiring assets nearly as much.
Right.
Okay, so like we've seen the impact of this. I was sharing like player indexes to my stories this week, and I was showing that no matter who it is, whether it's Mahomes, whether it's Jordan, whether it's Kobe, whether it's Dr. J, whether it's Ty Cobb, whether it's Babe Ruth, in most of the cases, Ken Griffey, in most of the cases, these players' pricing, at least with respect to the cards in the index, has returned to what it was in late 2020 or early 2021. And if you bought cards of these players, as I have and many others have during 2021, 2022, 2023, you paid a lot and you could have gotten them for much cheaper today. That's just a consequence of macroeconomic factors that you have no control over. None. So sometimes there's just going to be like right now, this is a much better time for a Wembanyama collector to have Wembanyama cards come out than if it was fall of 2021, because your cash, your dollar, your paycheck goes 3-4 times as far in the hobby today than it did a year and a half, 2 years ago. Goes much further. Cash is, I was saying about how like cash is worthless a few weeks ago, and now I'm turning a corner on that. Cash, especially after the latest round of auctions, and we've seen even more prices coming down, especially in the high end. Cash is more powerful than it's been in a long time in the hobby. way more powerful. My paycheck goes so much further today, so much further. But that might not always be the case either, right? So
the mail day that I showed, someone messaged me a private sale on the same platform that I bought it from in 2021, and it was 4.5x what I paid. And I was like, wow, I'm glad I didn't see that one back then.
Right.
It was just like, for all intents and purposes, the same exact card, like similar patch, similar auto, like pretty much the same card. So it's just, like you said, I can get 4x the amount of cards at this point.
All right, that pivots nicely into this next question, which is from PLB Cards. What drugs would you need to be on to pay 6 figures for a Brock Purdy 1/1 shield when we are just days removed from a Trey Lance 1/1 shield that plummeted in value from $132,000 to $7,350? It's a Trey Lance rookie flawless 1/1 shield autograph, and this content has made the rounds on social media. So there's the Purdy. Hasn't gotten any new bids lately, especially as he's in concussion protocol.
Ooh, he's cleared though. He's cleared today.
Is he back in the starting lineup?
Yeah. So that's how that works. His shield value is dependent on if he gets cleared for a random week 8 game.
I know, man. That is a very scary proposition that does not reflect well on the wisdom of collectors or buyers in the hobby.
That's my point. Yep. Let me find that Lance real quick if I can.
Yeah.
So here's the original sale of
there she blew.
132 in 2022. Not that long ago, dude. Like 14 months ago. And then it sold on eBay for $7,500.
Yeah. Which
look at that.
An interesting factor as well, that it was I saw M&T Trading make this observation on Twitter, that interesting that the card just got sent to eBay to be sold the second time.
Not bad.
Not bad. Yeah, card letter value not bad. Maybe somebody got a steal.
So yeah, that is interesting. It just went to like a regular old eBay auction, huh?
Yep.
I think that was where it's just like, screw it. I don't even care anymore. Just send this thing to you. I don't even have time to wait for one of these auction houses. Just take my loss.
And we don't know if that card changed hands once or twice in between those two sales either privately. It may have.
Not even his best one. That's the flawless. Not even the NT.
Right. Yeah. So then, with that cautionary tale fresh in mind, how does that teach or instruct bidders who are bidding now in the low 6-figure range on a Brock Purdy National Treasures Shield 1/1?
Well, I mean, isn't Trey Lance like 1-7 and Brock Purdy's like 11-1 or whatever, 12-2 or whatever he is?
That is fact.
A little different. I mean, it's risky, man. It's always really, really risky to spend that amount of money on a player that young and that unproven. Would you feel comfortable spending that much money on Mahomes after his first 14 games?
No.
So, I mean, that's why I was trying to prove the point. It's not really a knock on Purdy when I make that statement. It's like, it could be Patrick freaking Mahomes, who was lighting the world on fire in his first 14 games. And it's like, man, that's risky. Remember when the Trevor Lawrence came up? All of them. Basically, every major Trevor Lawrence card sold in his first 2 years of his career. And I was pretty high on him, and we were messaging, but dude, there's no way I can spend the amount of money it would require to get somebody. It's just so risky. The guy anything could happen. He's so young. He hasn't even won a playoff game at the time. It's just risky.
I can tell you when I turned a page on Mahomes was after he got after last season, second MVP, second Super Bowl MVP, obviously second Super Bowl ring. That's when I turned a corner on him. That's how long it took for me to be like, this is a player I would like to collect now. It took that.
They basically have to become the best player in the world.
Yeah. Yep. That is key. And, I don't always follow procedure. I collect cheap running backs as well. So, and I've, but through the evolution of collecting, for me, that's ultimately where I kind of end up at, is like that was enough for me to take an interest in collecting Mahomes. And there's plenty of people who that's not enough. And also the anxiety, because even now there's more Super Bowls and MVPs baked into Mahomes' prices right now. I think that's a fair thing to say. And even now, there are people who would prefer to wait until retirement. I remember a poll that I had done on my Instagram stories like months and months ago now, where I was like, would you rather collect a player like Tom Brady or LeBron James? Those are two examples I use. Would you rather collect them in the twilight of their active playing career or after retirement? And the winner of that poll was after retirement. And I think that's partially the bias of the people who, read my stories and that we know, is that they're mostly collectors of retired players. But I was also shocked by that, because I was like, wow, so the entertainment premium that some of us enjoy is actually a negative for most of the people who replied to that poll. They don't want the anxiety. They don't want the sweat of riding through 17 weeks of Tom Brady.
Yeah.
So, all right. This is there's so much to this story behind this. This is just a very quick 5-word question, but there's so much to it. It's from Xanu23 Sports Cards, who says, what do you guys think about signing a player's best one-of-one? The question was signing a player's best one-of-one. What do we think about it?
Like an IP auto?
Yeah. But it comes in a very specific context. So let me kind of just give a little bit of background here. So I will read the caption of this post. This is a collector called Diamond Card Collector, who says, amazing experience today. I'm still in shock. Tom Brady, Michael Rubin, Nicholas Connolly, Mike Mahan, and Fanatics made my dreams come true today. It was surreal listening to Tom Brady tell his stories while so many incredible people, collectors, fans, and Fanatics executives were asking him questions, and we were all sharing our treasures and our moments with Tom. I will cherish this day for the rest of my life. So blessed and grateful for all that took part today. And then there's a picture here of him showing Tom Brady one of his one-of-one rookie cards that eventually got signed. And so the caption here says, signed rookie Superfractor 2000 Fleer Showcase Masterpiece, true one-of-one Tom Brady. I'm not sure what the official card title is of this card, but it's his 2000 Fleer Showcase Masterpiece, one-of-one Tom Brady. And then a little bit extra background here is that Fleer made duplicates. Fleer made duplicates of this card. So there's 2 of these. One was never intended for release. One was a quality control copy or a replacement copy, and then one was released into packs. And my understanding is that he owns both of them. So he used one of them to have Tom Brady sign it, and then he has the other one in its unaltered state, may I say? So, and then back to the question: signing a player's best one-on-one. What do you think about it?
I'll answer by telling you a scenario that would be funny that I would react to. If I put that card in front of Tom and he grabbed a pen and was going to sign it, I'd be like, whoa, easy there, Tommy boy. What are we doing here, bud? You just going to start altering my cards here, guy? Why don't you take the pen, back it up a little bit, calm down, let's all relax. Let's not do anything crazy here, Tom. Don't touch my card.
Right. I'm with you, man. You and I are of the same mind on this.
If I wanted him to sign one of my cards, he would have signed it in his rookie year, and they would have put it in a pack, and then I would have pulled it.
Yep. I want the cards on the checklist.
But easy there, Tommy boy. He's like, whoa, I just assumed it would increase the value.
Right. Exactly. Now, okay, with that said, some of the other aspects of this story. I don't think we're breaking any ground by revealing that that's our opinion on, signed cards, aftermarket autographs. But what about the fact that Fanatics arranged for Tom Brady to meet collectors? What do you think about that?
It's cool. I think that's probably, given like the state of where Fanatics is, in terms of like their relationships with the players, I think that's probably the most interesting thing that they can bring to the table that we don't have already. Like for me, job number one, print the damn cards. Make one of one, like print the checklist, make a solid checklist, have a good mix of cards, stick to the history of the one-on-ones, et cetera, et cetera. Like do the job. And then on top of that, I think this is probably the coolest thing they could do. So it is neat to see that. That's why I'm glad you went back to that, because I don't want to end with like, this is stupid, Brady, you shouldn't have signed that card. That's just our opinion on that one scenario. But it would be cool to, meet your favorite player, show them your cards, have this meet and greet thing. It's neat.
Yeah, it is. And it clearly had a really strong impact on Diamond Card Collector.
Right.
And it probably, is one of the most memorable experiences that he's ever been connected to as a collector. And it probably is making him feel great about being a collector. And if there's one thing that I could wish, if there's one thing that I could express about what I love about the hobby, it is those experiences, those moments, the intellectual challenges, the escape from daily life, the fun aspect, the enhancement of your life that just being a collector provides. And so when a corporate presence in the hobby, especially one as powerful as Fanatics, when that corporate presence comes in and is giving people powerful hobby experiences, that's lifting up their time in the hobby and just making their lives better, frankly, giving them experiences that are just connected to the hobby that are making their lives better. To me, that's a great recipe for that's a great recipe for making the hobby even better than it already is. And that's tough to do.
Yeah, I mean, one of the main reasons I collect the players I do is that I like those players. I have a connection to them, and this is the only way that I can really express that, short of like becoming a stalker and finding out where they live. This is like a good way to do that, right? Is to collect their cards. And if you could actually meet them and they genuinely took some sort of interest in your collecting of their cards, I think it would be a neat experience.
Yeah. Now, with that said, my personal opinion on that, to continue raining on parades, I not only do I not care to meet the players that I collect, but if I do, it's neat. Obviously, there's something cool about it. But I really, really, really don't want to sit down and have a conversation with them and about collect. I have nothing in common with these people. Let's just be honest. And I don't want to force it. And to me, there's even another level of elevating the collector experience, which is, making the collector a co-star in the story of what matters in the hobby. And so, like, the dynamic of this arrangement is we're gonna bring the star athlete into the equation and like do something very special for these collectors that otherwise probably wouldn't be able to happen. But I also think that the collector is a certain important part of this story too, and that the more things that we can do as a hobby to uplift the collector and to tell their story and to acknowledge and respect what they've achieved, that is something that even resonates more with me.
Even if Luca was like begging to meet you, he's like, "Oh my God, Chris, like, please."
That makes it worse. Why do you want to meet me? You don't want to meet me.
He does though. He told me. He's just like he won't let it go. It's getting
And it's
weird.
like, why? Why do you want to meet me, dude? You don't want to meet me. There's no reason for you to want to meet me. So, now he's talking.
You got a super fan. What do you want to say? What do you want me to say?
Back off, Luca. You ain't getting these girls.
Let's like Tom Brady say like, you have two. Can I have one? Like, you're not like.
That's a scary part of that scenario too.
I'd be nervous.
That's a scary part of that scenario too. Is Tom just like grabbing the card and being like, "Oh man, this is really cool. What if I, think I'd be like, no, and then that can be intimidating, like a hero style athlete.
Yeah.
Slap.
I mean, that's why I said easy there, Tommy boy. Why don't we take a breath here? Let's take a beat. Let's think about this. We don't want to make any bad decisions today. Touch my cards and this is going to turn.
Oh boy! All right, comment section getting a little wild. All right. Next topic. Back-to-backs from Collectogram. One for you and one for me. What is Josh's favorite LeBron card that he does not yet own?
I'm assuming you have the same question.
I have the same question for Jokic.
Do you have an answer?
I do. And giving this answer hopefully might in some way lead me to actually finding this card because I really want this card. The Jokic card that I don't own that I would love to is the 2015 Select Black 1 of 1.
Didn't you pull that out of a case?
Nope. Just took a big bath on that case.
Oh, that was you pulled a Danny Green. My bad.
Yep. A Tobias Harris and a Danny Green.
Is that not the same? That's not the same?
That's not the same, no.
Not quite.
Well, you can imagine I'm just kind of scrolling to find
You just went to Bob M. Track's page, yeah.
Give me a second. Give me a second. I'll find it. I mean, there's one right there. That'd be pretty neat. I'll find it. Give me a second. If you want to ask the next question while I keep scrolling.
Sure. Oh, no, actually I don't. The next question is a doozy.
All right. I'm going to find it, though. It's the 2003 finest 1.
The 2020 Prizm, Fast Break, Neon Green, out of 5, Maxi Flavor.
And Christina's one maxi for her is the Neon Green out of 5 from 2020 Prizm.
But also the 2018 Prizm Black with Luka Doncic.
There you go. That's the correct answer. If you saw those two cards next to each other, come on.
I love how you are taking this so serious that you're like, I'm not just gonna like land on a really good LeBron. I need to find like the one. There it is. There it is. The finest 1 of 1.
I would want this one over either of the Logo Man autos, the vertical or the horizontal. I have this one.
Why is that?
Because it's my favorite card. And it's like, I started with the shiny stuff. I started with the gold. That's like my original connection to cards. And I'd be so, man, if I had that card, my life I would just be done collecting. That would be that's just like the pinnacle.
Yeah. Yep. And
There's a fake of this card. There's like an unserial number of these, but he has the real one.
Okay. Yeah, and there's a novelty. There's definitely a market value to the replacement copy, but it's not. No.
I'd rather have the gold that I have than the novelty copy.
Oh, by far.
Yeah.
By far.
He has two of the golds. He has the novelty copy. Here, you just have to see this. This is so ridiculous. He has the novelty copy, which is not die cut, but how sick is that card just like on its own? And then he's
of course
got the real one, which is die cut. You can see the little ridges on the edges. And then he has 2 of the regular golds. Look. One of them's a BTS God damn it.
This is a fucked up question.
Dude, it's just like at least once a week I just go to his page and I scroll all the way to the bottom just so I can get them all loaded into memory on the screen, and then I can go work my way up. Dude, look at this shit. What the fuck? I just like, God damn it.
Yeah. Yep.
What an asshole.
All right. Now we're gonna get into Drake's PC's big question.
Oh,
And I'm gonna do Drake's question, and then I'm going to do one reply to the question from Vinny Slabarino because he covered an aspect of the reply that's interesting. So just buckle in for a minute. This is a few sentences long. Drake's PC says, I enjoyed Deep Value Investors' stories this week. They were controversial, but I largely agreed. PSA upcharging collectors based on the grade given to a card, in my opinion, does not lend itself to long-term hobby growth. In 2019 on Blowout, Nat Turner even said himself, quote, it's not like a $10,000 card costs more to grade than a $100 card. It's the same service, folder, material, etc. Why then is PSA trying to grab more money at the end before they ship cards to you depending upon what grade they give the card? End quote. Drake continues, I'm a fan of PSA, and I consider Nat a friend. He's done a lot for me personally. But the time has come for us as collectors to say no to upcharges at PSA. If someone can convince me otherwise, I'd love to hear it. Spoiler, Drake, I don't think anybody's going to be able to convince somebody else that they should pay more money for things. But that's a fair concession to make. So he says, what do you guys say to this? And then Vinny Slabarino says, I think that Drake's point is a fair concern, but PSA upcharges because the market will bear it. I don't expect any for-profit company to do anything less than maximize profit, whether it's a hobby company or otherwise. All right. Stage has been set for the topic of the upcharge. Where would you like to go with the topic of the upcharge? I think from the outset, I think it's worth acknowledging that the upcharge is here to stay. I think we should probably start there, and that this conversation is going to be theoretical. Christina has her hand raised.
I do.
Okay.
To me, the upcharge is a hand in hand. Do you want the insurance, like for big cards, cover? Like, do you want PSA's guarantee, or do you want no upcharge? Mm-hmm. You can't have both.
Right.
So, like, I think as a hobby, if you're on one team, you can't be for the other.
Okay.
So that's where I say to Drake, like, there you go. Also, use a different grading company if you don't want to be upcharged. Like,
which goes to Vinny's point.
Yeah.
Which is that the upcharge is able to operate because people are willing to pay it.
Yeah.
Josh,
it's primarily coming from the PSA guarantee, which is that they will buy your card back up to the value of $250,000, which is their highest service level. That's the primary reason. And then Drake's response was something like, that depends on the market value. It fluctuates. Should I get refunded? Obviously, that would become ridiculous, having to refund portions of upcharges based on market changes. That's just not conceivable. It's not even realistic. And it's not like they asked for more money when the market went up. That doesn't make any sense. Secondly, there's a stat that, anecdotally and semi-data backed, that PSA, if you take a given card and I tell you it's been graded and it's sold in the secondary market, there's a 90% chance that card is a PSA graded card. So, the market is telling us what they think about the prices. So, people are buying PSA, they're grading with PSA, the secondary value is enough to justify the higher cost, et cetera, et cetera. And it's if you don't want it, then just grade with someone else. So I agree with both Christina's points, basically.
Yeah. And I neglected to mention this at the outset of the conversation. It was my job to do that, but so let me just say it now because I missed the opportunity, but I'll just insert it now. We work for a company, Card Ladder, which is owned by the same parent company that PSA is owned by. And so PSA is a sister company, and it's a company that we collaborate with on a company-to-company level, in part because of that we both belong to the same umbrella of companies. So that should be noted, and it should be noted that there's an ever-present risk of bias when we talk about this topic, and to evaluate all of our opinions through the lens of the fact that we work for a sister company to PSA, and also collector biases too. I think, especially myself, over the last few years as well. I think we all feel pretty strongly about the merits of PSA as a grading company. On Cash, man, I've missed you lately, and I'm glad you're back.
This question usually comes up when a collector has to like deal with the anguish of paying that upcharge themselves, and that's when it comes out as like it happens to me all the time, dude. Like I'll have to pay some insane amount to grade one of my high-end cards, and it's like, oh my gosh, this is really painful, but I'm still going to do it because it protects the value of my card. I have the guarantee. I know it's going to increase the value of it the most I can get out of it long term. There's all these reasons I do it. So
yep. And now, with the points that have been made, it also is worth noting that the upcharge is a tough pill to swallow, and the point is well that you can be upcharged at the peak of a market or at a higher point in the market as a collector, and then later on down the line, your card's value has gone down 50%, and then ultimately, because of the timing of when you graded it, you paid a lot more to grade it than what the card is currently worth, is an excellent observation, and there's no other way to put it other than it sucks to be in that position. So there's nothing else really to say about that. It's unfortunate, and I do agree sort of with the sentiment that in an ideal world, every hobby service is free or as cheap as possible, and as much of the money is able to stay in collectors' pockets to buy cards. So like that point is well taken also. And then the hypocritical nature of us providing a service to the hobby that costs $15 a month, or you get, or $150 for a year. I mean, wouldn't it be better if we didn't charge, and that $150 or $15 could stay with the collector? Yeah, it's a valid point. And the ideal circumstances of keeping as much money in the collector's pocket to have them be able to spend it on cards is a good one. So I don't have a single rebuttal to that.
Yep. In my experience, if you're waiting for a company to take less profits for the sake of it, you should move on and figure out another path.
Yes, because then, as Christina has alluded to in the chat, now you start getting into big questions that go well beyond the scope of the hobby marketplace or the sports card marketplace. You start getting into big questions about how much profit should a company make, and then you get into theories of free market economics. And as long as there aren't huge barriers to entry in a free market economy, there should be competition among companies that drives the marginal profit down to zero. Okay, but that's a topic that is not one for. I think that's a topic that, like, if you're into that, like, probably go look into free market economics and start thinking and different systems of economics and command economies and hybrid economies, and knock yourself out. All right. Anything else on that topic before we move on? Yeah. All right. 2013 3 over Ela chimes in to say this. It has recently dawned on me that only one person can complete the Prizm rainbow for a given player. And then two questions follow. The first question is, and I'm not doing this question total service here because I truncated it a bit, but one is, does the holder of the black finite or the 1 of 1 have an obligation to complete the rainbow? Okay, so if you have the black finite 1 of 1, are you obligated to complete the rainbow? And then question number 2 is, completing the rainbow without the 1 of 1, is that good enough? In other words, do we just toss out the 1 of 1 as being too limited and give credit to the folks as completing a rainbow who have everything but the 1 of 1?
No and no. One, like, just because I have a 1 of 1 doesn't mean I have to do the entire rainbow. I might not like the card at all, but I have the 1 of 1 because it's a 1 of 1. So I don't want to collect 27,000 different variations of cards that I don't even like because I have the 1 of 1. And 2, like, no, because otherwise, what's the difference between 1 of 1 versus 1 of 5? And if that is good enough, you could create the entire rainbow minus the 1 of 1. And usually there's not just one 1 of 1, okay? There's multiple 1 of 1s. But, like, why can't I say I'm done with the rainbow of Max Cleveland 2020 Prizm because I only have 1 card left that hasn't surfaced ever on the face of the whole fucking planet?
All right. That takes care of the second question. Josh, do you have any disagreements?
One time I bought a rainbow just to get the 1 of 1, and then I donated all the other cards to another.
So that goes to question 1, which is, if you have the 1 of 1, are you obligated to complete the rainbow?
No, of course not. How many rainbows have you destroyed personally because of?
At least maybe half,
50?
3 to 5, maybe something like that.
You've single-handedly destroyed 50 rainbows. How many 1 of 1s do you have?
Oh well, I am blocking lots of.
Yeah. So I mean,
but I have also actively destroyed rainbows by doing what you did, or doing something slightly different, which is just buying the 1 of 1 out of a completed rainbow.
No, I literally, he wouldn't sell it to me unless I bought the whole thing. I said, whatever. Bought the whole thing. I took the black and then sent the other ones to another collector of that player. Said, here you go. These are yours. I don't want them. It's not worth my time to sell all these individually.
Christina?
What?
You were poised to say something.
Yeah, it just seems like you wanted me to stop, though. Like, I could have kept going.
There is no doubt. But did you want to?
I just think that
you're very passionate about the rainbows.
Yeah, because I've been collecting a fucking rainbow for 3+ years and I still can't complete it. And the one card that I'm missing is the out of 5. And like this guy saying like, oh, if you have everything except the 1 of 1, that could be good enough, can it? It's like, no, F you. Create the whole rainbow or don't. But don't say I'm good enough. Like, you're not good enough. You don't have the full rainbow.
How epic would it be if I just like slowly put that one she's missing on the camera right now? Like, would your mind explode?
No, but I would fly to Phoenix tomorrow.
It would be like the only time ever someone that could jump through an IG live.
I would literally leave right now. Like, I would grab my ID and my credit card, and I would go to the Dallas airport right now.
No, I would send you.
I would fucking charter a private jet if I couldn't get on a plane within the next 3 hours.
No, I would send you the coordinates to the location of the beginning of an elaborate treasure hunt to find it. I would take it, put it somewhere, send you the coordinates of the step 1 of the maze that ensues for the next year of your life.
That would be a really fun show. I would bring Nick with me, and we would film the entire like treasure hunt, and then release episodes on YouTube.
Scavenger hunt.
To enjoy Josh torturing me.
Scavenger hunt was the word I was looking for. I found it.
Nice.
Geotag. Boom. And then like Yeah, in the end, it would just like be at your guys' apartment. So, like Chris would be holding it.
That reminds me. I don't know. Once my brother hid candy in an old apartment that we used to live in, and he would try to make Christina find the candy.
And then I would get rewarded. Like if I studied for long enough, he would like bring me candy.
So Christina's familiar with these tactics. All right. Next question from Cardboard Insights. Who is people just teeing us up here to piss off people, which is just that's just an average night of the crossover.
So familiar with the show.
Cardboard Insight says, who is the worst statistical player all time to get the most hobby love? And then who is the best statistical player of all time to get the least?
I have so many answers.
Let's go.
First, I don't care about the second one.
Good. Let me have the second one, and you just take the first one. I think that'll be fair.
The first one, how many do you want?
Let's just workshop it.
Okay, I've got three. Just three that just jumped right in my head.
Can I try to guess who they are?
I'm gonna pivot on the third one, so I'll stick with two, and I'll think of a third. But yeah, two of them you should get.
Allen Iverson.
Boom. He's my number one, like by far. He's like 100 and whatever PER.
Right. Okay. And then I don't even need to say who the other one is. We both know.
The other one's not Kobe. I think that's just too much. But I have said on this show before, this other guy I'm thinking of, he's like the most overrated player ever. I've said it on this show before.
We're not going Mickey Mantle, are we?
No. I said no. Come on. Overrated player. I'm not even talking cards yet. I'm just saying, like, as a player, this guy is massively overrated. And this is a real boost to your own confidence, so you should think hard. It makes your guy look better.
I don't know.
Dennis Rodman.
Oh, Dennis Rodman.
So overrated. He's like, all he does is rebound, and he's apparently like the best player ever. Come on.
There is an article published by a writer, I think it was for 538 or something, that makes an elaborate case for why Dennis Rodman is the best player of all time.
Best player of all time can't even shoot a jumper in a game that's designed to put the ball in the hoop. I'm sorry, that's ridiculous.
It was very entertaining.
He like that. Once I saw that doc where he's like, "Oh, you go over here, go over there." Like, dude, you're not thinking about all that stuff. It's a freaking rebound. You see the rim and you jump and you get it. You're not that smart, Dennis. Calm down.
Nice. All right. Here, I'm going to give there's lots of statistically great players who are not collected at the same level that their level of achievement statistically in sports would. Those aren't aligned. But the one that comes to mind for me is David Robinson.
Mm-hmm.
David Robinson, in my opinion, spent 3 years, 3 different seasons, including one full season he shared with Michael Jordan as the best player in the world. So to me, David Robinson is, being the second best player out of the 90s. And a guy who was the best player in the world during a Michael Jordan season in the 90s is a guy who I think is, from a statistical point of view, underrated.
I got another one.
Sure.
That's a good one. Well, you need to do another one because I've done 2 already.
I have to do 2. Shaquille O'Neal. Now, Shaquille O'Neal is heavily collected, and he is popular.
So big guys.
Yeah. Who knew that being tall helped you in basketball? The big guys have have a big advantage. But Shaq is a guy who I think was the best player in the world for 4 seasons, and still I think that he's sort of not regarded as that. He's still lumped in with players that he statistically was much more dominant than. Top
32. Okay, this is the best answer.
Okay.
The answer for the most, what is it? How are we phrasing this? The most, I don't want to say overrated because it's just strictly about bad stats, high value.
That's it.
Okay, it's Justin Herbert, and it's not close.
Ooh.
He has 40 sales of cards over $100,000.
What?
40. I just counted them on camera. 40, including 2 sales over $1 million, 3 over 500,000. He has a card sold for 1.8 million, 1.1 million. He currently is under 500 in his career. He has 0 playoff wins. He's 2-4 this year. He is a analytics darling-ish, and that's even a little bit kind because I think he's never finished higher than 6th in QBR in a season, or 5th maybe. It's Justin Herbert, and he's probably my favorite young quarterback. Like, just going off of what the purpose of the game is, I have to say Justin Herbert.
Yeah, that is mind-boggling. 40 sales.
Took me
6 figures or more.
I count them. It's a lot to count.
And he's like you said. I mean, from indoctrination via Ringer podcasts, I'm led to believe that Herbert is a great quarterback.
Right. The Ringer guys love him.
Yes, but I think you've made an irrefutable case.
Yeah, it's just like I can just kind of win the game by. It's like. Yeah, like, let's pull up David Robinson. How many sales do you think he has over 100,000? Granted, he doesn't have nearly the same like selection of cards. His rookie card is a mass produced, but just guess how many he has over 100,000.
On record, 0.
Jack?
Yeah, and I think does he have any cards that are hypothetically worth 100,000?
No. Shaq has 1. PMG Green.
Yeah.
Shaq had a 1-of-1 Flair Showcase Masterpiece sell for $35K in the same time range that Herbert had a white sparkle sticker autograph sell for over $100,000. So,
yeah.
Do you have another one on your side of the game?
I can't follow that.
I wasn't meaning to trump. I found it and I was like, I win. This is it.
That's good. I feel like from that example, you've just laid out the methodology for how other people can start to evaluate.
Right.
You know.
Well, this is how this game is a fun game because it's just you can learn from the history of this. You can learn either not to make the same mistakes with getting too excited about a player when it's too early. You know, Trae Young, Ja Morant, Zion. Learn these mistakes and kind of see what happened in the past and figure out where the trends went. I don't know why you're laughing. This is serious business.
Desmond Ritter, maybe?
I mean, that's just not even fair because he's not even I don't like punching him down that much.
Fair. Oh, there's something. Okay, so Eddie says, first of all, Eddie, we did answer your Wemby question at the very beginning of the show. And then he says Kareem is the winning answer. I do like Kareem as an answer.
Mm-hmm.
I think Kareem was the best basketball player in the world for 11 seasons, which is the most of anybody. And yes, even more than Jordan. And yeah, I think Kareem experienced finals success at a different point in his career than when he was dominating as an individual player. Yeah. So I think Kareem is a really good answer, Eddie. I like that.
There's a couple other from the chat that I want to shout out. And basically what I'm doing is I'm going to our indexes page on Card Ladder, going to players, and then filtering out players that have at least 100 cards, so we can, make the discussion a little more interesting with players that we know. And I'm just kind of scrolling through and kind of going off of experience/memory. A couple in the chat. Tim Duncan was called out. That's always a popular answer for this type of question. I think it's a good one. He's got 5 championships. I think he has 2 MVPs, 3 Finals MVPs.
Yep, 2 MVPs.
2 MVPs, 3 Finals. Because people kind of attribute him to like the Spurs and stuff, but he does have 2 MVPs on his own, which is impressive. Dirk Nowitzki.
Can I just say something on Duncan?
Peyton Manning.
I zag on Duncan. And I have nothing against Duncan collectors. I know Duncan collectors. Spurs Cards 21, Eddie, Spur fan at Tech, John. I respect those guys, and I do respect Tim Duncan a lot. And he obviously made like a really strong impression on the culture of basketball, and he's one of the most decorated and successful athletes, especially this side of the year 2000. Or I guess let's say this in the modern era, because I guess like he had a title before 2000, or 1 or 2 of them. But with all due respect to those guys, I think like when people are putting Tim Duncan in the top 10 players of all time, my personal opinion is that I don't see it that way. I look at the aggregate statistical performance of his over the course of his career, and I can't marshal an argument using the tools that I marshal to make these types of arguments to consider Tim Duncan a top 10 player of all time.
You have him above Kobe?
Yes. My methodology would oblige me to have him above Kobe.
All right, we can move on to the next question.
All right. Fun question from Cardboard Insights there. Thank you for that. Sure to have pissed off many people.
Yes, we will get some angry DMs tomorrow.
All right. But if I can live with Kenyon Martin saying that anybody on the Mavericks team could wax Luka Doncic in a one-on-one game, others can live with our takes too. How about that?
If you were just like measuring something, how high would you say that is?
2 centimeters.
2 centimeters. That's like just eyeballing it. That's usually what I came up with as well.
Yeah. That's.
Given that like Durant is 7 feet and he's like looking up, I don't know. Durant's legs are what, like 4 feet tall, and he's like above his leg. I don't know.
Shout out Eddie, man.
He can leave the chat at any moment. I gotta get my take in there real quick.
Shout out to Eddie, man. Eddie, you're the best. All right.
Wait, look at that ball spot. Look at that thing. Oh my gosh.
Oh yeah. I wish I could make mine come and go like he does.
I think anytime he's in a movie or a commercial or a TV show, it looks a lot more full.
It does tend to, yeah. It's neat, just depending upon the day.
Isn't that called movie magic?
What's that?
I think it's called movie magic.
Movie magic, yeah. We love magic. All right. Vinny Slaverino says, always enjoy the show. And you know what? Before we get to the question, you know what, Vinny? I always enjoy your questions. All right? I always enjoy your questions. Thank you for the question.
Nice.
Vinny says, I liked Josh's idea last week of naming card eras after dinosaur eras. Maybe we can just use generation names. For example, 50s and 60s cards are boomer era. 70s and 80s are Gen X era. 90s and 2000s are millennial era. That way you can easily identify card eras by who collected them as kids. Thanks, Vinny.
I want to be really clear here. I didn't say we should use something like dinosaur names. We should use the dinosaur names themselves.
So, okay, give me an example of this. The Cretaceous period?
Cretaceous period, prehistoric. Yep, I want to use those ones. Jurassic, those are the ones I want to use.
The Cretaceous period would. Okay, I now let me just stop myself. I was about to take a shot at an era of cards.
Well, I think you're about to take shots at dinosaurs here in a second. Like, which one is the T-Rex the most overrated dinosaur of all time?
Yeah. Yes. And who is T-Rex's comp in the hobby?
I don't want to say. I've already said enough. Allen Iverson and Dennis Rodman collectors are going to be killing me tomorrow. Come on.
Yeah. Well, look, I mean, there's also an implicit acknowledgement throughout the course of this discussion that being a statistically dominant player or even being the best player doesn't mean that you're the most collectible or that you're going to be the most desired in the hobby. And that's not arbitrary. There's reasons for that. There are things outside of a player's stats and performance that makes them collectible.
Yes, they do.
What were you just showing the eras?
Yeah, but it's hard to read. The coloring is bad. Like the color, dark color with like black font. It's hard to read. But yes, I'm showing a picture on Google of the different eras of the what do you call them? Not eras, periods. They call them periods. So we've got your Precambrian, we've got your Cambrian, your Ordovician, Silurian. This is too much. Can you imagine being like, hey, what was your favorite Silurian card? And people are just like, what?
All right. You never know what path we're gonna take, and when we get to the periods of the dinosaur era, I feel like we've had a pretty good show. We've gone where I wanted to go.
The Boomer Gen Z is probably. I think that's a better thing than what we currently have. So I can live with that.
Fair enough. Drake's PC with another question. Drake says, at the Dallas Card Show next weekend, what will be the vibe at the show and after the show? Do you have thought? I think this question is getting at something deeper. I think this question is getting at like, what is the sentiment of the hobby right now? What will be the morale at the next Dallas Card Show, which is in a week, which is, the big sort of every other month show that kind of gauges the sentiment, at least of the dealers and the regulars who frequent the shows.
Are you guys going?
We are. Oh yeah, we'll be there.
Well, then what do you expect?
I'm the wrong guy because what do I expect? I just expect to go there, see people I haven't seen in a few months, maybe buy a card for way too much money and lose money on it after I grade it and it gets a good grade. And maybe buy a box and rip that box and lose more money, and but just have a good time and see the people that I want to see. That's what I'm expecting. So, but I don't think that's what this question is getting at.
Way to dodge the question, guy.
Thank you. I mean, okay. So to answer the spirit of Drake's question, I think like there are a confluence of events happening right now that are not favorable towards people feeling good about the hobby, unless those people are really thinking and selling themselves on a longer term philosophy. So I think like looking at the hobby right now, I expect this show to be less attended than normal, not by much, but I expect attendance to be a little bit down. I expect prices of stuff to be down and that making it more difficult to make deals because sellers are not going to want to take additional haircuts on cards. And I just think too, like whether you look at the S&P 500, which has returned to its April 2021 price point, or Bitcoin is at its January 2021 price point, or real estate, commercial real estate is already showing some serious fault lines, and real estate in general is trending in a scary direction right now. And then you have the Federal Reserve, setting rates so high and seemingly for a while they're going to stay there. It's just, this is an environment where cash is very valuable, but you're going to be interacting with people who have a lot of their net worth in assets, whether those assets are cards or whether they're a house or a car or what have you. And when cash is valuable, assets are not. So that creates a pretty low morale, I think. But the optimistic side to it, the upside to it, is that, like, if you feel good about cash being valuable and you are optimistic about this window of time where cash goes further than it did, then like the zag is to feel confidence that, hey, my paycheck, the amount of my budget that I can allocate to buying cards, it's going so much further than it used to go. You can feel good about it.
Yeah, man. I'm cleaning up, picking up grails.
Yep. So that's what I'm expecting sort of the vibe of the show to be. And then there's going to be a level of confirmation bias too. Like, I think people are going to go, they're going to expect, they've been thinking, they've been feeling bad, they're going to expect other people to feel that way. And so there's going, it's going to kind of become a self-fulfilling prophecy to some extent too, I think.
Yeah, that sounds right. It's a bit of a snowball effect going on right now.
Yeah. All right, Mike Pinkerton 50 says, will the big card shows keep growing and will the smaller shows go away?
I don't know. I don't feel like the small ones will go away. People are always going to want to have a local show. They don't have to go too far. There'll always be some sort of demand for that.
Yeah. Yep. And also, I don't know if the big shows will keep growing either. They're already pretty big. they're already pretty well attended and popular. But I do think this. I think that for myself personally, I've learned in a very harsh manner that the best way to buy and sell cards is the show environment. It allows me to bypass friction intermediaries to a great extent, and in particular marketplace fees and stuff like that. Now, there's a reason why marketplaces have fees. They bring a lot of eyeballs, they create confidence, they do a lot. But ideally, I would transact a card at a show rather than anywhere else.
These shows are still wildly popular even through this downturn in the hobby. I mean, there's still massive demand to set up at the shows and get into the shows. And this last national, they're having to expand into areas they never have. The convention center, even though the market's down, so I don't know, man. It seems like it keeps growing.
All right. WTF Frankie podcast says, what do you think about live streamed single card auctions on eBay? Live streams. Are they good? Are they bad? Or are you indifferent to them?
Is this something that exists?
I've never seen one happen. I am familiar with the concept from like platforms like Whatnot,
right,
that let people like do a 60-second auction real quick. But yeah, I've never seen it happen on eBay. Personally, I've never watched one of these auctions happen.
So someone's like kept talking you through it, like, hey, come on guys, we got another bid. Come on everybody, let's go. I'm trying to sell. Like, the seller is supposed to be talking through it? I'm confused.
I guess so. Yep.
That's a pass.
Yeah, I'd be a little worried that I don't have the proper time to to research the card as it comes up. And then also, like, I'm trying to really discipline myself into not just like surveying the landscape of available cards. Just like, here's the card that's put in front of you, and then it's like, do I want that? Maybe I do want it.
What if it's like the auction is a week auction, just like you're familiar with, the end date is known, you have time, and then like in the last 30 minutes, they go live during the last 30 minutes to drum up some last minute excitement or talk about the auction, or, you know, instill some confidence that you're getting the card from the owner and here they are, they're shipping it out, whatever.
Then it's got a pretty cool dynamic to it, because if bidding gets out of control, then I can just back off. But there's always a chance that something might fly under the radar in the onslaught of the single card auctions, and then maybe I'll get a deal. So I think there's a unique opportunity to get deals in the single card auction format, live stream format. All right. Hudson Cards 35 says, which NBA team has the highest card value in their starting lineup?
Current team?
Yes.
The Lakers?
Lakers, I mean, LeBron alone, and then you have Davis, and then
The Bucks.
the Bucks, you have Giannis, Lillard. What about the Warriors?
Warriors, Curry just on his own, yeah.
What about the Celtics? I don't think.
Yeah.
I think Tatum is the main player driving value there, but some Jaylen Brown and even maybe to a lesser extent Porzingis cards have some value.
This is an interesting thought because the hobby is very picky with where they put their money, and they don't want it to be like two players on one team necessarily. Like they want to pick a player from the team that is the dominant alpha and put most of the money towards that player. Like Lillard's prices are pretty low relative to Giannis, even though they're kind of like a 1A, 1B situation.
Yeah, they are.
Just like the top guys just garner so much percentage of the market that it's just going to kind of go to those top few guys.
They do. All right, this is a question from Amit. Runs with Bulls 2030. He says, is Josh excited to watch part of his LeBron collection get freshly appraised on Saturday night?
No.
No. It's the worst thing in the world when that happens, Amit. It's really annoying.
It's super annoying, dude.
Win23 asks about the Asia Sports Card Convention in Macau. Are you familiar with this?
The show?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know when it is. I know it's in December, and it's in Macau, but I won't be attending. Do you have any plans of going? I don't think so.
I would like to go.
Christina would like to go.
Nope. But I heard it's going to be pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it is going to be cool. I think you're going to have, especially if you like the stuff that we like in basketball, you're going to probably have some really impressive collections on display that you will just never see if you're going to shows here in the United States.
Carvin says that it's December 8th through December 10th.
Yeah. And then Carvin has taught me that Macau is Las Vegas taken up another notch.
Like the Las Vegas of China?
Yeah. I don't know about that. I just know that compared to Las Vegas, it's even larger and more grandiose.
Like it's a big gambling area.
Yeah, I think that's a fact.
Yeah, the show's at the Venetian of Macau.
All right. Prizm Mike PC has a spicy one here towards the end of the show. Great name, by the way. Aside from the obvious, why do most content creators avoid discussing cards, sets, and parallels?
Because they don't know about cards, sets, or parallels?
Well, that could be a factor. Oh, okay, so I'm going to use this question, though. I was thinking about this question. I'm going to use this question as to zag. I'm going to zag against this question before we answer it.
Okay.
My zag is I think content creators right now are doing a nice job.
Some, I would like to put asterisks on that.
And I think, I don't love all of them. And the thing that I'm most worried about is some of the content creators who are being perceived as sort of the face of content. But with that set to the side, I have to be honest and survey the landscape of content and see that there's a lot of it. And I know people who consume it on a daily basis and they enjoy it. And there's damn near something for everybody out there. And there are plenty of podcasts that I would recommend to somebody if they ask me that are hobby related. And you know, is there, I once got a great deal of backlash and got, you know, fairly criticized or even referred to as being wrecked and destroyed and stuff because I made an observation on a couple of different podcasts that I felt like hobby content was lacking in certain ways. And if I look over the last 2 years and sort of think about my critique, think about where my critique might have missed some things and think about where it did, or where maybe it made a decent point, and then I compare where content is today versus then, I'm pretty impressed with where content is and the variety of pieces of content that you can get. And there's a lot of good content being made by content creators who aren't very well known. But like when I started going down the rabbit hole of like really caring about stuff like technical things that relate to collecting, like what is a rookie card? What is the definition of a rookie card? I was thrilled to find a great content creator on YouTube who has made this a focal point and a passion of his. And he has videos that are like, these are Shohei Ohtani's rookie cards using this system that I devised. And his name is Victor, the true rookie card collector. And I have to give credit where it's due. And then even to this question here about like, you know, what about discussing cards and sets and parallels? Well, like Stacking Slabs has put out a series, an ongoing series about parallels that's like lit a fire under people. And it's got people feeling very strongly about parallels and discussing that stuff. And there is a place and a lane for that. And as a community, we're going to continue to, I think, grow and take an interest in these aspects of the hobby. And that's the lane of content that I think is terrific, is focusing on knowledge and research into sets, history, and so forth. Yeah, Victor. And not only does Victor do a nice job of like focusing on defining rookie cards and identifying them for players, he's also just a very pleasant, wise guy who's been around the hobby for a really long time. But I named him. I could name 10 or 12 content creators, honestly, or more, who I think are doing a nice job in one way or another. And I have to acknowledge that, you know, as fun as it is, and it to just sort of, you know, be kind of pessimistic in all ways. I like this question because I want to use it to say that. And I want to use it to say something pleasant about hobby content creators and to say that there's plenty of them out there doing a good job and to keep it up.
Nice. My recent criticism was more what you said at the beginning, like the base or like the top level, the first thing people see when they come into the space. I'm critical of that because when I saw that top level content for other collectible categories, I was impressed. And when I got to ours, I was not. It wasn't meant to take a shot at like all the layers of it like he went through. And we do a nice job at the different tiers of it. And we have varying levels of expertise and knowledge and stuff. It's just like that first highest, you know, algorithm hit stuff was bad in my opinion.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement with you on that. I go back to the mortifying feeling that I had. I won't rehash the whole story. I've already told it multiple times, but sort of the mortifying feeling that I had when I was listening to a Mavericks podcast and the hosts were making fun of sports cards because all the hosts thought of when it came to sports cards was just the advertisements that this guy, I don't remember his name, but there's this guy who puts advertisements out about the hobby where he's like, watch how I, I make all this money from cards, basically. He's got his hat turned backwards. And
yeah,
it just wasn't, it just made a bad impression.
Right.
And, I would love to avoid that if possible.
Yeah, the impression that you get on that first high algorithm hitting content is like gambling or investing or, trade up challenges and all that garbage.
Yep. Definitely. And like Prizm Mike, I appreciate that comment and I appreciate the question because I know what you're getting at. And I know that there's a strong demand emanating from myself and from people like you and from others to be able to turn on a consistent rotation of hobby podcasts that are teaching me something that I didn't already know about the history of cards or about sets or about collecting philosophies or about stories of collecting and so on and so forth. So I definitely really appreciate that comment, but we collect questions, we talk about them, we bring our knowledge that we have gathered over the years to answer them, but we also could do a much better job if this was our primary focus. Yeah. And that's sort of the thing, and it's not. Our primary focus is running a business and being collectors, and then we come out here and we have fun on a Friday night. And that's sort of an issue I think that hobby content deals with too, is there's very few people whose primary focus it is, and they're able to dedicate all their brain power and resources to making content for the hobby. And given that constraint, once again, I think it's worth saying there's plenty of people who do a nice job. Plenty of them. All right. Christina, do you want to say anything nice?
No.
I knew she was going to say that. I knew it. All right. Jam Collectibles says, let's discuss how the NFL is becoming the NBA. And I didn't understand what exactly that question meant. So I followed up with him and I said, what do you mean by that?
Can I guess what he means?
Yes.
Is he talking about individual superstars or the marketing of individuals?
Yes, exactly. So one of the things he said was the individualizing of a team sport.
Yeah.
Another thing he said was entitlement to the impact that will have on the game. And he's talking about overall game evolution, the rules to the game, name, image, likeness, creating a situation similar to the impact of AAU on players and the overall league. So this is a laundry list.
Yeah, I mean the NFL players are starting to wise up to what's worked well for the NBA players to capitalize on their individual value and demand where they go or hold out for contracts or garner as much of the marketing money as they can for themselves through these NIL deals and et cetera. So it is moving to that. This whole Deshaun Watson thing is kind of making me feel some of those similarities. He's basically not even playing, even though the doctors are clearing him. He's got this James Harden, Ben Simmons thing going on right now. But I don't know, in general, I still think they're pretty far apart in terms of that. Just the way that the league itself is structured, I don't know that we'd ever get fully there. And the fandom experience is still very much tied to the teams, and whereas the NBA is the players. So that's shifted a little bit. Fans are more into individual players than they were, Mahomes fans, but still it's not even close. I've pulled up follower counts and things like that of individual football players, and it's never even sniffing some of these NBA guys. So is the question asking, are we getting closer, or are we there? I'm not sure. I feel like we're pretty far away.
Yeah. I didn't even have the intuition that you had to sort of get a general sense of where this question was going, because it doesn't really occur to me or bother me. So I'm not quite sure that I'm concerned about it or worried about it, but maybe I can be convinced, or my eyes could be open to it. But I think it's selfishly, I think it better lines up with my desire to collect football players if the sport begins to, trend towards recognizing individual accomplishments. So
Yeah. I like having them different because then I come to football to root for teams and systems and styles with a sprinkle of some individuals, and then I go to the NBA to watch my favorite individuals. So I kind of like having them different in that sense. Like I go to football to watch like the Dolphins offense versus the Ravens defense, right? Like to see the two things go against each other. In the NBA, I go to see LeBron versus KD last night, like they're just different and I like them for different reasons.
Right on. All right, let's bring this to a close here. We've gotten through basically every serious question.
Nice.
Henry Rowan Gardner card says, is the outlier index a better representation for the 90s market? And so Henry was making a series of story posts where he was sort of pointing out that, like, hey, look, like using card letter value, using card letter player indexes to model prices for some of these like very rare 90s cards is displaying valuations that probably are low, because the way that pricing has moved for those cards is different than a general index. And like just as a general thought on that, that's always going to be the case. An index is to some extent going to be an abstraction or a generalization, and applying a generalization to a specific case, a specific card, is always going to miss nuance. And maybe to a large degree, maybe to a smaller degree, but that's always going to be the case. And so his question is like, should we use something like the outlier index, which is composed of cards that have not sold recently, or if they have sold recently, they didn't have a sale, they didn't have multiple sales recently. That's the way I can most simply explain it without getting into the minutia of it. So is using the outlier index, which has cards that have sold but not with frequency, is it better to use that when trying to price model for 90s cards?
This is your question, dude.
Yeah. Well, I don't think that there is a good fit, honestly. I think you could look at the outlier index, you can look at the player index, you could try and apply multiple indexes, but ultimately there is never going to be a substitute for your own judgment and your own looking at what comps of other players for the same set, or the same player in different sets that you think are similar, and just using your judgment to decide what the most appropriate comps are. I think there's never going to be an algorithmic substitution for your judgment on that. So it is fair to point that out, and it's also fair to point out that card letter value could be a near miss. It could miss by a ton when approximating the value on a card, and that there's no substitute for the first-hand research and thoughts and approach and strategy that a collector should be putting into figuring out what something's worth.
It'd be fun to try to make a custom 90s index. I think it'd be pretty feasible. If this question asker wants to take a stab at that, if you are a card letter pro member, you can make a custom one and define what cards, and you can kind of pick out, 20 to 30 different 90s cards that you feel best represent that space. And I think it'd be pretty interesting to see how it turned out, that index, what it looked like.
Sure. All right. Jail Duke Cards 2, a Duke card collector, I believe, says Derek Lively, who is the Mavericks rookie at center, is better than Victor Wembanyama.
I thought you said we got through all the serious ones.
Yeah, well, now we're moving on to this next one. Now we're in the lighthearted comments and questions.
You want me
to
answer this question?
Yeah, just get these takes off now, because they're, as much as I'm happy that Lively is right out the gate a starting center for the Mavericks, the chances of him ending up being better than Victor Wembanyama pretty slim.
Is there something written in Jason Kidd's contract where he has to start someone that is not deserving of being a starter? Last year it was what was his name? The center?
Powell.
And this year it's Derek
Lively, yeah.
No.
Oh, Derek Jones Jr.
Derek Jones. Why is that guy starting? Why he just comes in for the first 10 minutes and they take him out and he never play? I don't understand it. It's like in his contract. It's like you got to start someone who's not a starter.
Well, I mean, in his contract, it says, like, you're going to be coached even though you don't deserve it, and your assistants are going to coach you during timeouts on how to coach the team. So it only makes sense.
Am I crazy? Derek Jones Jr., that dude's like barely been on a roster. Now he's starting. But then he doesn't play real minutes. He played 14 minutes tonight. They had 4 guys on the bench play that many minutes.
Yeah, I think Kid outsmarts himself on lineups all the time. Yeah.
Put in your best guys. This isn't that hard.
Yep. But the Mavericks have an interesting problem now. Their problem is they're a little bit too deep right now. Like Seth Curry isn't getting minutes.
I saw that.
Seth Curry is a guy who can play minutes on a good team. So it's like they're trying to figure out how to allocate minutes at the shooting guard position to Tim Hardaway Jr., Seth Curry, Josh Green, Jaden Hardy.
Hardy didn't even play.
Yeah, I think he's been unhealthy. Or he's been sick. That's a weird way to put it. He's been like sick or something, dealing with an illness. But then you have him, and then you have to figure out how do you have a front court rotation that involves Grant Williams and Maxi Kleber and Derek Lively and Dwight Powell, and he loves to he'll tell you this. He'll say this. He's like, I tinker, especially early on in the regular season. He likes to tinker, and
he likes to tinker with wins and losses too.
Yes, and you know what? Selling a few losses can be the difference, like it was last year, between making the play-in or not making it.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Like, how is he playing? How is Derek Jones playing more minutes than Seth Curry? I don't understand that.
Yeah, well, a lot of tinkering going on.
Well, he should tinker D's nuts.
Josh, this question comes from 240 cards. What's the deal with Ovaltine? It comes in a round container. You put it in a round glass. Why don't they call it Round-tine?
Why is this question for me? Do I look like a 80-year-old person who drinks Ovaltine?
This question just reminded me of the decoder ring, and be sure to drink your Ovaltine.
Yeah.
This used to be like a health drink, Ovaltine?
No, it's like instant breakfast before instant from like the 50s. It's like a cocoa drink that you powder that you put in your milk, like Nesquik or something.
Now it's probably like in the modern world, like bad for you, packed with sugar.
Oh, I'm sure. The only reason I know what it is from Christmas Story.
Nice. All right. Well, I just wanted to make sure we got to that one before the show.
So you're definitely at the last of the questions here.
Yeah, I have 4 left. LSU Tiger Collector 65 wanted the best NBA player comps for Shit Beast and Crypto Dick Butts. Why did you think about that?
I got one.
Take some time.
I got one. So you want a graph that starts in the upper left and ends in the bottom right?
Yep. That's what we like.
That is not a problem, sir.
No, it's not.
What?
No, it's not. It's not a problem.
Does that look about right?
Yep, I've seen a lot of those.
Oh
no.
Sorry, Zion.
Oh, no. Is Zion the Shit Beast or the Crypto Dick Butt?
Which one is like the out of shape, constantly injured one?
I don't know. Maybe both.
We got another one for you. That look pretty good.
Oh, no. Oh.
Trae Young collectors are in shambles. Wait, hold on. Well, I can self-deprecate. I can self-deprecate.
I'd give Zion Shit Beast, and I would give Trae Crypto Dick Butt.
How's that one look?
Not great.
Well, that's not good for me.
Maybe so. Zion is, LeBron there that you're showing. He's the real Shit Beast.
Yes.
And then Zion and Trae Young are the Crypto Dick Butts.
That's got a nice ring to it. I would love to be an honorary shit beast.
Well, you're an honorary shit beast collector.
Yes.
Last comment here that we'll get to from Tasty Card Sandwich. Please, anything but shit beast and crypto dick butt talk. That horse has been dead for a long time.
Well, hold on a second.
Should have ordered these questions better.
Hold on a second. I do have a live look here at the current market for NFTs. Hold on one second. Did you get that? Can you see it good enough?
Crystal clear.
Good.
Yep. It's beautiful. It's art. That's an NFT. That could be an NFT one day.
It is actually. I googled NFT trash dump, and that's.
All right. Let's pick an episode title. I have a pet favorite, but we'll go through all these. Maybe you guys do too.
Favorite, no?
How many something can they give me? Starts with a T. Oh, no. I don't know. Skip that. Constantly zagging. You've been out of luck for a long time.
That one makes me giggle.
Easy there, Tommy boy. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. That wasn't my pet favorite. That's pretty. Becoming a stalker.
I like how it's been shortened. Like you just becoming a stalker. It just sounds like a really weird book title.
Yeah. How to become a stalker for dummies.
Nice.
Then we have, why do you want to meet me? Oh, that's good. Lakers exquisite.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that, but that's good. How many rainbows have you destroyed?
That's fun. That one just sounds funny. Like you're throwing rocks at like a rainbow in the sky or something.
Yeah, or there's an alternative. I actively destroy rainbows.
And the rainbow emoji would be nice.
The rainbow emoji would definitely come into play. I don't like punching down. We love magic.
Yes, we do.
The tools I marshal.
Is that your pet favorite?
No, I like the rainbow ones. God, I say some of the dumbest shit on this show.
You never laugh while you say it. It's not till later in the show when you read it back.
Right. Exactly. He likes to tinker. And then Tinker D's nuts.
Look for Tinker D's nuts.
Don't have the last bias. I will vote for how many rainbows have you destroyed?
What's the other one? I actively destroy rainbows.
I actively destroy rainbows.
What was the first one again? Read those two back to back.
How many rainbows have you destroyed? Or I actively destroy rainbows.
Can I make my pitch for the second one?
Yes.
Because if you end it with the word rainbows, you can do the emoji right next to it at the end.
X. All right. Easy enough. I'm fine with that. Christina?
That's fine.
Oh, even if it wasn't, 2 to 3. 2 out of 3. All right.
Yes.
You guys.
See, I told you, man. I've been really studying these captions, and I think it's important just to the social media game. And I've taken notice, and I've taken notes, and I'm ready.
You are ready. All right.
These little nuances matter.
They do. We have our title. Thanks everybody for tuning in. We'll see you guys next week.
Bye.
We're reaching the top.
A lot has changed since Card Ladder began. We started with 500 cards in our database, and now
We have over 3 million cards and over 30 million sales.
For anyone asking who is the best, we putting our hands up.
With Card Ladder's sales history feature, we have virtually every card in our system. If the card you are looking for ever sold on one of these platforms, you can find it using Card Ladder's sales history. And you can add a card to your collection with just one click.
My time, none of you people can tell me to stop.
Plus, every card, no matter the last time it sold, has an estimated value that we calculated using our state-of-the-art player indexes. Unlike other apps, when you see Card Ladder's verified checkmark, that means a researcher personally vetted each and every sale.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
We know what you want, because Card Ladder was created by collectors for collectors.
Know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Join the innovators, not the imitators. Card Ladder 2.0, constantly innovating. Try it for free. See why Card Ladder is the industry leader in sports card data.
We know what it takes to be reaching the top.
Card Ladder 2.0.